morning and welcome to my video on Kirchoff's voltage law. So Kirchoff's voltage law is a source of confusion for many students, and the objective of this video is to remove those doubts in your mind about this law. Now Kirchoff studied this law, and it is based on law of conservation of energy. But currently my focus is to explain you the technique of Kirchoff's voltage law. See, there are many steps to be taken when you have to apply the Kirchoff's voltage law, or it is also popularly known as the loop law. The purpose of Kirchoff law is now known to you, right? It is for the purpose of solving the multi-loop circuits, right? Analyzing multi-loop circuits. Now, as a step number one, the first step is you should, label all the currents, and which means go to each of the branches after identification of the junction. So, identifying the junctions, identifying the branches is a step number one. And once you've identified the junctions, apply the Kirchoff's current law or the junction law, and use that. Total incoming current is equal to total outgoing current. That's step number 1 and 2 respectively. And then your job is to use the concept of loops, okay, which is an independent loop essentially. Now this is where most of the confusion happens. If you see a very complicated circuit, you can select loop number 1, loop number 2, and then loop number 3, 4, 5, 6, any number of loops are possible, right? Depending on obviously size of the circuit. But the strategy of loop selection should be that the number of assumed currents in the branches, for example, you have assumed I1, I2, I3, 3 currents in total are sufficient to label the current in each of the branch. Then you should have 3 independent loops on which you have to apply the Kirchoff's voltage law. Now when I say independent loop, I mean if you've already selected 2 loops, the third loop must have some elements like resistor and a battery which are not present in the previous 2 loops. So this third loop will be called as an independent loop. A lot of students are confused about selection of loop. First strategy, try and find the current in each branch using Kirchoff's current law applied at the junctions, only at the junctions. And after that, select the loop in a manner so that the number of currents I1, I2, I3, I4, if you have 4 different separate currents, then you will have to have 4 loops to solve the equations. When I say 4 loops, you will apply Kirchoff's voltage law on 4 loops. Okay, so be very careful when you apply the Kirchoff's voltage law on the loops, and make the loops independent of each other. Do not include the same loop again and again. So if you have already selected 2, try and select another loop which has some resistor which is, or a battery which is over and above what you have already selected in the first 2 loops. Okay, try and minimize the number of currents in the branches by using Kirchoff's current law applied at the junction, right? Don't try to have 5, 6 currents. You will end up creating 5, 6 loops, and solving such a large question will become very, very difficult. So minimize the currents in the branches using Kirchoff's current law, and then select the loops to be independent loops. No 2 loops should be identical. At least they should be different from each other. That 1 battery is extra, 1 resistor is extra, 2 batteries are extra, 1 resistor is extra, something like that. And then once you've decided on the loops, you have to go around the Kirchoff's loop to apply the KVL. I will talk about application of Kirchoff's voltage law in a loop in my next video. But for now, your strategy should be apply the Kirchoff's voltage law by selecting current, to be minimum, as in the number of currents in the branches to be minimum, and then the number of loops you select should be equal to the number of independent currents you found. So I hope this concept is clear in your mind. Please try and use this. Remember, Kirchoff's law is only a statement, but there are 5-6 steps that you need to take before you apply the Kirchoff's voltage law to a multi-loop circuit for the purpose of circuit analysis. So thank you very much for paying attention to my video. Please give me your feedback and suggestion and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.